जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना वनचारी यमुना यमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. युग धर्म हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया। भगवत्य उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Canto 5, titled The Creative Impetus. Text, chapter number 3, titled Rishabhadev's Appearance. Text number 11. So this is a verse in the form of a prose. There is no specific meter. So I'll just try to recite it, and then we'll follow with the word meanings, followed by the purport. Asanga nishita jnananala vidhuta malanam bhavat swabhavanam atma ramanam muninam anavarata parigunita gunagana parama mangalayana gunagana kathanoshi. Translation. Sorry, word to word. Asanga, by detachment. Nishita, strengthened. Jnana, of knowledge. Anala, by the fire. Vidhuta, removed. Ashesha, unlimited. Malanam, whose dirty things. Bhavat swabhavanam, who have attained your qualities. Atma aramanam, who are self-satisfied. Muninam, of great sages. Anavarata, incessantly. Parigunita, recounted. Guna, Gana, O Lord, whose spiritual qualities. Parama Mangala, supreme bliss. Ayana, produces. Guna Gana, Kathanaha. Two times the same word means two different things. First Gunagana means Lord whose spiritual qualities. Second Gunagana means chanting. He, the chanting of whose attributes. Asi, you are. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Dear Lord, all the great sages who are thoughtful and saintly persons incessantly recount your spiritual qualities. These sages have already burned up all the unlimited dirty things by the fire of knowledge, strengthened by the fire of knowledge, strengthened their detachment from the material world. Thus they have attained your qualities and are self-satisfied. Yet, even for those who feel spiritual bliss in chanting your attributes, your personal presence is very rare. Purport: the priests in Maharaj Nabhi's sacrificial arena appreciated the personal presence of Supreme Lord Vishnu, and they considered themselves very much obliged. The Lord's appearance is rare even for great saintly persons who have become completely detached from this material world and whose hearts are clean due to constantly chanting the glories of the Lord. Such people are satisfied by chanting the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The Lord's personal presence is not actually required for such people. The priests are pointing out that the Lord's personal presence is very rare even for such elevated sages, but that he was so kind to them that now he was personally present. Therefore, the priests were very much obliged. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपा तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं। हरि ओम तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. Dear Lord, no, don't repeat, please. Dear Lord, all the great sages who are thoughtful and saintly persons incessantly recount your spiritual qualities. These sages have already burned up all the unlimited dirty things and, by the fire of knowledge, strengthened their detachment from the material world. Thus they have attained your qualities and are self-satisfied. Yet even for those who feel spiritual bliss in chanting your attributes, your personal presence is very rare. So this verse talks about the personal presence or the rare darshan of the Lord. So it is a subject matter which is beyond my realizations. So I cannot give any commentary on this darshan of the Lord. So what I will do is I will stick only to the purports of Prabhupada. I will share some purports where Srila Prabhupada mentions and talks about the darshan of the Lord, and devotees can take shelter of those purports and be happy. However, before coming to this verse, I would take the opportunity to revise what we have been studying in the last 1 week. So, very recently we saw that these Purohits, Ritviks of Maharaj Nabhi, they are telling to the Lord that you have actually no need for any elaborate arrangements for worship. Why? Because they said that all the life's goals and opulences are directly, self-sufficiently, unceasingly and unlimitedly increasing in you. So you don't have any need. But then they say, but still we are doing it because we have material desires. So then the question comes is that why is the Lord appearing then? Lord generally appears or listens to everybody, but becomes favorable and very easy to be obtained by the pure devotees of the Lord. So although there is no need of performing such an elaborate sacrifice, but still they are doing because they have material desires. So the question comes, why did the Lord appear? So Prabhupada explains in the next verse that by the abundant causeless mercy, Prakarsha Karunaya, the Lord appeared here. In fact, the Ritviks are also saying that by your abundant causeless mercy, you have appeared here to serve our interest. So this is the mood of the Lord. He wants to serve the interests of his devotees. His interest is the interest of the devotees, and devotees' interest is the interest of the Lord. Srila Prabhupada says this is the real meaning of becoming one with the Lord. This is the real meaning of oneness. Mayavadis claim that we are targeting for oneness, but real oneness means my mission and the Lord's mission should be the same. The Lord's mission and my mission should be the same. I have to take anxiety to reduce the anxiety for the Lord, and the Lord has to take anxiety to assist me, to assist him in his anxiety. So this is called oneness. So why you have appeared here? You have appeared here to serve our interest and give us liberation in the form of realization of your glories. This is a very, very nice point. There are various kinds of liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about. One of the very nice aspects of liberation is realization of the glories of the Lord. One who has realized the name, fame, qualities, pastimes and the glories of the Lord, he is liberated person, Mukta Jivatma. I had a friend, whenever he used to read the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, he used to be crying all the time. Then one day I asked him that, why do you keep crying? Why don't you cry in the 9th chapter or in the 11th chapter? So he says that I am a very envious person. But when I read the 10th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, I feel that my envy is useless. You can envy with a person with whom you can compete. You cannot compete with God. So what's the point being envious of him? And every time I read, I realize God is so great. There are 84 vibhutis of Krishna which are described in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And every time he reads, he realizes that there is so much depth in each vibhuti. And in the end, Krishna says, but what is the point of recounting my glories? I just sustain the entire universe with just a spark of my splendor. That I am telling you these 84 vibhutis, they are specific to this universe. That is not the samam bonam of my vibhutis. I am not telling other vibhutis because you, resident of this universe, cannot understand anything apart from the references of this universe. And everything which you see is just coming from an expansion of my expansion of my expansion of my expansion, Mahavishnu. Spark of my splendor. It's not actually real me also. So every time he would read, he would say that, yeah, God is so great. So when I am reading this verse, I am realizing that that friend of mine is liberated because he has realized the glories of the Lord. So many times I have read the 10th chapter, I don't have such realizations. But anybody who realizes the glory of God is great, is liberated. God is great. Anybody who realizes this is liberated. However, one who realizes how great is God is even more liberated. So there are various stages of liberation also. So here, the Ritviks are saying that you have appeared here to serve our interest and give us liberation in the form of realization of your glories. Now, this realization of God is also a gift of God. Nobody can realize God without the mercy of God. It is not possible. One of the names of Krishna is Adhokshaja. Akshaja means eyes or senses, and Adhokshaja means beyond our senses. So all that a human being can conceive, somebody who is in the body consciousness of life, they cannot conceive anything which is beyond their material or subtle perception. To realize Krishna is even beyond the spiritual perception, because he is the supreme spirit soul. So to realize Krishna is a gift of Krishna. Krishna Anubhuti is a gift of Krishna. He reveals himself. Dadami buddhi yogam tam. He reveals himself to those devotees who are satata, continuously, bhajatam priti purvakam. Tesham satata yuktanam, bhajatam priti purvakam, without any expectation, incessantly loving God, trying to serve God. Those who are doing it, only to them Krishna will reveal himself. And then a mature devotee thinks that although I am having such realization of God, which great PhDs and great learned scholars are not having, I don't deserve this. So therefore, I am foolish, Balishanam, ignorant of the goal of life, avidusham, and have actually not worshipped you properly. Na apachitaha. This is the humility of a devotee. He thinks that I am so useless, so foolish. I don't know what is the goal of my life because I am not at the Avyartha Kalatvam platform. I am not meditating upon the goal of life all the time. And I have actually not done justice in my sadhana to worship you, to serve you and your devotees and the spiritual master. So therefore, it is your causeless mercy only, Prakarsha Karunaya, that you have appeared in front of me. But then the Lord is, in the next verse, he is called as the Varda Rishabha. He is one of his favorite pastimes is to give benedictions. Wherever he goes, he says, Mango, ask something. He likes that. That's his favorite pastime. So the Lord is anyways saying that, okay, now that I have come here, you should ask something from me. So this is a service. To sincerely pray to the Lord is a service. And he likes that service. But then the prayers can also be mature and immature. Ultimately, when we pray to Krishna, we advance in Krishna consciousness. But our sincerity to Krishna consciousness or sincerity towards the abhidheya or the prayojan of life can be depicted by what kind of prayers we do. The best prayer is to make sure that our prayers are in line with the mood and mission of our spiritual master. That is the best prayer, the most pure form of prayer. Apart from that, any other prayer which is there, it may not be of the pure devotional standard. Anya abhilashita shunyam. Any other desire other than the desire of Guru is not suitable. Guru mukha padma vakya chittite koriya aikya. Arana kariho mane asha. Don't have any other desire. So therefore, although the Lord says that you ask me for a benediction, these Ritviks, they say, but what should we ask? Your darshan or your appearance only is the greatest benediction. And then they call him that you are the most worshipable, Arhat Tama, best of all benediction givers, Varda Rishabha. And your appearance as the object of our vision in the sacrifice was the most valuable benediction. These are the devotees of the Lord. Devotees of the Lord are always feeling very grateful. If at some point of time the Lord appears in front of them also and says, what do you want? I don't want anything. I have got you. What else do I want? So that means, although these Ritviks, they are saying we are Balishanam, foolish, Avidusham, not aware about the goal of life, but secretly they are telling that we don't want anything. That means they are also liberated, they are also Atmaram, they are also completely situated in the bliss of simply serving the Lord and not expecting anything in return. Otherwise, who can make such a statement that your darshan only is enough for us? However, in the 11th verse, that is today's verse, they start talking about the rarity of the darshan of the Lord. They tell the Lord the word Parama Mangalayana. One who produces supreme bliss. So they are saying, oh my dear Lord, you produce supreme bliss, Parama Mangalayana. And these qualities which you have, they are also producing supreme bliss in us. Simply by remembering Guna Gana, by reciting your glories, by reciting your qualities, we are supremely happy. So this helps us to understand the consciousness of the spiritual planets. Everybody is completely happy. What they are doing, Guna Gana Parama Mangalayana. Simply by reciting the glories of the Lord, they are expertly happy. They don't need anything in life. So therefore, these people who are Muninam, and in this verse there are 3 qualities of a Muni which are highlighted. So those who are Munis, they are constantly reciting the glories of the Lord. Now what are the qualifications of the Muni? Asanga Nishita Jnananala Vidhuta Shesha Malana. They have burned all contamination by the fire of knowledge and detachment. First qualification of a Muni. In order to become a Muni, your heart should become pure by the process of transcendental knowledge. And not just transcendental knowledge, but also stable detachment, which comes from fixed up attachment to the lotus feet of Krishna. So that will burn up all the contamination. Now this is very much necessary to appreciate the Lord. When I was about to join the Brahmachari ashram, I had many anxieties in my heart. So I was talking to another senior Brahmachari and he was sharing with me that Achyut Arjun Sakha Das, whatever anxieties which you have in your heart, they are because of the mala or the contamination which is there in your heart. Through the process of devotional service, Sushusho Shraddha Dhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Syan Mahat Sevaya. He said, as you go on serving the devotees of Krishna and as you continue the practice of Krishna consciousness, this mala or contamination from your heart will be removed and then your anxieties will appear baseless to you. There is no reason to take anxiety. So, and that will lead to attachment to Krishna, because mind, when one gets rid of their anxieties, there is a lot of space which is created in the mind. Earlier that mind was occupied by that anxiety. But when that anxiety goes away in a good way, when you realize that, yeah, everything belongs to Krishna and everything is maintained by Krishna, then automatically your mind becomes attached to Krishna, gets rid of the anxiety, and then you become detached also. This is very much necessary. As long as these mala are there in our heart, we cannot appreciate how much Krishna is doing for us. What is the glory? It's like wearing a pink colored spectacles. If you wear a pink colored spectacles, everything will appear to be pink. In order to see the reality, you have to get rid of those colors on your spectacles. Then only you can see the reality. So this process of Asanga Nishita Jnananala, fire of Jnana, Vidhuta Shesha Malana. So Avadhuta, one has to become detached also, one has to develop that fire of knowledge also by the mercy of devotees and burn away all the contamination. Then only they can appreciate the Lord. At least I can say then they can begin to appreciate the Lord. So this is the first qualification of a Muni. The second qualification of a Muni is that when one realizes that yes, I am in the process of becoming a Muni, or maybe I have become a Muni to some degree. What is that? Bhavat Swabhavanam. when one attains some qualities like God. So here the translation says, thus they have attained your qualities and are self-satisfied. The Muninam, who are constantly chanting Mangalayana, and they are happy chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So they become Bhavat Swabhavanam, they get qualities like Krishna. Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram. Na prayati samad bhavam nasti atra tatra samshaya. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that anybody who thinks of me at the time of death will surely come to me, and of this there is no doubt. So once one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada, that Srila Prabhupada, at the time of death, if I am not able to think of Krishna, but if I think about you, will the result be the same? Srila Prabhupada closed his eyes for some time, smiled and said, yes, the result will be the same. So this is called as Bhavat Swabhavanam. Devotees of Krishna attain qualities of Krishna. Now when you remember Krishna, only then you can go to Goloka. But when you remember a devotee who is very much attached to Krishna also, that is also taking you to Goloka, either from the front door or from the back door. So this is called as Bhavat Swabhavanam. This means that that person is definitely a Muni. And those who are not having qualities like that of the Lord, they are Hiranyakashipus. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagvatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha harav abhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathe nasati dhavato bahihi. So they have their life is like a chariot which is running on the mental concoctions, going here, going there. So we have to see the qualities of Krishna, and in whomever, irrespective of caste, creed, gender, nationality, species, if that quality is depicted, then one should learn from them. So in the Bhagavatam there is a person who learns from so many people. 24 gurus, how many, 21 or 24? 24 gurus of the Brahmana, Avadhut Brahmana. Later on we come to know he is the Dattatreya, who is roaming around like that. So he saw this Bhavat Swabhavanam sometimes in a prostitute, sometimes in a moth, not in a moth, in the behavior of a moth. So he's seeing this divinity in everything and he's learning from it. He is also a Muni. And lastly, another very important quality to become a Muni is Atma Ramanam. One has to be self-satisfied. And then this self-satisfaction is very much highlighted in the 10th verse of Bhagavad Gita. Since I have no experience of self-satisfaction in bhakti, so I will just read from Prabhupada's purport. Matchitta madgata prana bodhayantaha parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. In this, Srila Prabhupada explains what it means to be an Atma Ram and what is the self-satisfaction. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, the devotees relish transcendental pleasure from the service itself. That is the beginning of Atma Ram stage. You become engrossed in doing your service. You have been asked to cut an apple. You focus on cutting an apple. You are not seeing, oh, that devotee is distributing 5,000 books. Oh, this devotee is making so many devotees. Oh, that devotee is doing deity worship so nicely. Oh, that devotee is, doing so many things which is pleasing to Prabhupada. No. First stage of becoming an Atma Ram is taking pleasure in the service itself. Everybody is serving Krishna, everybody has their unique relationship with Krishna, but I will try to focus on my service, and on a daily basis, my only job description is how to improve my seva. How can I take it to the next level So that simply by cutting these apples, how can I please the Lord? Okay, yesterday I cut the apples without peeling them. Today I'll peel first. Okay, today I will cut the apples I'll remove the seeds also. Okay, yesterday the shape was not proper. Today I'll make it more better shaped also. Oh, today I will cut the apples in a shape and make a duck out of it, or a parrot out of it. Or today I will grate some of the apples. So in this way you go on improving your seva. That is called Atmaram. And Prabhupada says, in the preliminary stage of devotional service, devotees relish the transcendental pleasure, Atmaram, from the service itself, and in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. And then Srila Prabhupada says that once they are situated in that transcendental position, they can relish highest perfection, which is exhibited by the Lord in His abode. That means Atma, what is that word? Bhavat Swabhavanam. They get the Swabhava like that of the Lord. And Lord Chaitanya compares transcendental devotional service to the sowing of seed in the heart of a living entity. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then just as a seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering, his devotional creeper also grows. And then Prabhupada describes how it pierces the Brahma Jyoti and reaches the lotus feet of Krishna. What is the most mature form of Atmaram? That also Srila Prabhupada says, see, he has given us everything. We just need to, under the guidance of our seniors, we need to read and meditate. The realized souls in Krishna consciousness, we are talking about perfection of Atmaram. The realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and a girl take pleasure in their association. Natural. Initially, the Atmaram position is coming because of focused meditation, persevere, focus, conscious meditation on the services. That's how it begins. And then when we continue chanting Hare Krishna, doing our services, doing Mahat Seva, Bhagavad Seva, then a time will come when it will become spontaneous. And that is the perfection of Atmaram. And this Atmaram status will lead us to Bhavat Swabhavanam, that is, we will attain the qualities of the Lord. These are not my realizations. I am just reading the purport. I have no experience of being Atmaram. There is another point which Srila Prabhupada mentions in this verse which caught my attention as I was reading the purport. The Lord's appearance is rare even for great saintly persons who have become completely detached from this material world and whose hearts are clean due to constantly chanting the holy names of the Lord. Okay, we understand this. But then he twists. Prabhupada says, such people are satisfied by chanting the transcendental qualities of the Lord only. For such people, the personal presence of the Lord is not required. Now, this is something even above the Atmaram situation. This description is not of the Ritviks or the Maharaj Nabhi's assembly. This description is of a Krishna conscious person. Now, let's try to go deep into it. Very famous verse. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena santah sadeva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Shama Sundar, Krishna himself, with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts, with an eye of devotion tinged with the salve of love. We are trying to understand the point which Srila Prabhupada is telling, that the Lord's personal presence is not actually required for those devotees who are satisfied by chanting the transcendental qualities of the Lord. What does it mean? Srila Prabhupada is quoting The first canto, 7th chapter, sloka number 4. On a consideration of the trance of Vyasadeva as the sloka Bhakti Yogena Manasi, etc., it will be clear that the form of Sri Krishna is the full personality of Godhead and can only be, who is the full personality of Godhead, can only be visible in the heart of a true devotee, which is the only true seat in the state of trance under the influence of devotion. Now, sometimes Krishna becomes extremely merciful and presents himself in front of everybody, in front of people like Shakuni, Duryodhana, Kamsa, Arjuna, everybody in Dwarka, everybody in Mathura, everybody in Vrindavan, everybody in Kurukshetra can see him. That is the supreme mercy of the Lord. But sometimes he is only situated in the hearts of his devotees. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. The people of Dwarka, when Krishna returns after the Mahabharat war, takes his conch shell, and the Bhagavatam says as he is blowing his conch shell, the upper part of the conch shell is becoming reddish due to the reflection of the bimba lips of Krishna. And as he is blowing it off, the people in Dwarka, they are doing something. As soon as they hear, they throw everything. And they come to the gate of, everybody is coming, Aniruddha is coming, Pradyumna is coming, Sankarshan, his sons, his grandsons, his queens, his mother, father, everybody comes on the gate. And the Dwarka Vasis are telling that we are so unfortunate. We cannot see you every time. But think about those saintly people. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. There are some saints are able to always see Krishna in their heart. So, Krishna's mercy is sometimes visible and sometimes not visible. So when Krishna's mercy is not visible, we have to go deeper in our Krishna consciousness to understand and appreciate that it is always there, Nitya, with us. In the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that when Hiranyakashipu was trying to put Prahlad under the feet of an elephant, under the fire or poisonous snakes, the Lord was personally coming and embracing Prahlad Maharaj and protecting him. And Prahlad Maharaj could see it and the Lord could protect him. But nobody else could see. Santah sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti. And for a moment when Prahlad Maharaj couldn't see Krishna, and this also was happening by the will of Krishna, because pure devotees like Prahlad, it is not possible that they cannot see Krishna. They will always see Krishna. Krishna cannot hide them. Krishna cannot hide himself from such pure devotees. But just to glorify the purity and the greatness of such pure devotees, sometimes Krishna becomes unmanifest, and at that time Prahlad Maharaj cries like a small child, chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. And not able to handle that piteous cry, Krishna again comes. And then Prahlad Maharaj starts clapping, dancing, singing like a madman. Therefore, friends of Prahlad Maharaj couldn't understand kya ho raha hai Prahlad ko. Sometimes he smiles, sometimes he cries, sometimes he laughs. Sometimes he just starts shouting very loudly, singing some song of Krishna. Sometimes he starts dancing and nobody knows why he's dancing. So these are the qualities of a pure devotee. So here, Srila Prabhupada is explaining the meaning of why and how pure devotees, they do not need to see Krishna also. Srila Prabhupada Uvacha. When Krishna manifested himself in Vraja, both the devotees and non-devotees saw him with this very eye. But only the devotees cherished him, eternally present in Vraja, as the priceless jewel of their heart. Nowadays also, devotees see him in Vraja in their hearts. Please listen. Prabhupada is saying nowadays also devotees see him in Vraja, but not in Vraja, but in their hearts. Saturated with devotion, although they do not see him with their own eyes. That is the meaning of Santah Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. In the spiritual television of their heart, they are always seeing Krishna in Vraja, performing the pastimes. Sometimes Krishna becomes merciful enough to allow them to enter his pastimes also. but they are actually not seeing him from their charma chakshu. Because they don't need to see them from their charma chakshu. I'll give a material example so that you can understand. It cannot be extrapolated. When you have 5G in your phone, who cares for 2G and GPRS and Telegram, pager and emails? And everything is there with you. You don't want such, just like the Bhagavad Gita says, just like a great water body satisfies all the needs which are done from various wells. There is a well for washing, a well for bathing, a well for drinking. But if you go to a big water body, all the utilities are satisfied in one shot. So similarly, if you are constantly seeing Krishna, the spiritual television of your heart, whether you are Uddhava who is seeing the dark cloud and thinking of Krishna, or whether you are Surdas who is having no vision only, what's the difference? Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says, the eye of devotion is nothing but the eye of pure, unalloyed spiritual self of this jiva. Spiritual eyes. The form of Krishna is visible to that spiritual eye in the proportion to its purification by the practice of devotion. The amount of devotional service you are doing, to that degree Krishna reveals himself. Not more, not less. So the form of Krishna is visible to that spiritual eye in the proportion of its purification by the practice of devotion. When the devotion of the neophyte reaches the stage of bhava bhakti, the pure spiritual eye of that devotee is tinged with the salve of love, not by his own sadhana, but by the grace of Krishna, which enables him to see Krishna face to face. Then he can always see Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti. The sum and substance of this shloka is that the form of Krishna, who is Shyama Sundara, Natvara, best dancer, Murlidhara, holder of the flute, Tribhanga, triple bending, is not a mental concoction but is transcendental and is visible to the eye of the Jivatma who is under trance. So they are always seeing this Shyama Sundara, Natvara, Murlidhara, Tribhanga form, they are always seeing it. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada is telling, here the verse says, the saintly people, the Ritviks, they are telling your darshan is very rare. We are Balishanam, we are, what are the qualities they say? Balishanam, ignorant, Avidusham, foolish and ignorant about the goal of life, not worshipped you properly, na apachitaha. Still we are able to see. Srila Prabhupada says that there is a class of devotees which is also existing, which don't even need to see the Lord. The Lord comes to see them. Because they are always under trance and they are always seeing the Lord in the spiritual television of their heart. That is what Srila Prabhupada is hinting. Such people are satisfied by the chanting of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. The Lord's personal presence is not actually required for them. The priests are pointing out that the Lord's personal presence is very rare for such great elevated sages, but that he was so kind to them that now he was personally present. Therefore, the priests are very much obliged. So yeah, the priestly class of people, they will not be able to see how pure devotees are seeing the Lord all the time. So therefore, it's a very great darshan which they are getting. That's what they are saying in this verse. So that is what I have wanted to share. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, comments, according to my watch, there are 5 minutes we can share.
Regarding like when Karda Muni was meditating on the Supreme Lord and he had the darshan, so he was glorifying the Lord and he said that no one should like when someone has your darshan, no one will ask any material thing. But at the end, Prabhupada writes that he himself asked for a wife to satisfy his lustful desires like that. So how to understand this? Whereas when Dhruva Maharaj had the darshan of the Lord, he said that I'm so satisfied that I do not need to be satisfied.
These are very transcendental questions. Why Karda Muni said that and why Dhruva Maharaj said that? See, the principle of devotional service is that the degree to which you practice, to that degree you get purified. That is the principle. Apart from that principle is the Leela aspect of the Lord. The Lord chooses to become a son of someone or a father of someone, and they need to be a part of that pastime. Why did Drona and Dhara meditate so much? So, why did Devaki go through why did she have to see 6 children killed in front of them? So, we have to make a balance of both. One is the aspect of pure devotional service. Simply by practicing Krishna consciousness, this will happen. Asanga nishita jnananala vidhuta shesha malanam. By the practice of Krishna consciousness, all contamination will be burned by the fire of knowledge and detachment. Sometimes it is seen that even in the sincere devotee's heart, who is sincerely practicing Krishna, does not remove some anarthas. Or at least the devotee feels that my anarthas are not going away. Sometimes Krishna does it to keep the devotee humble. Sometimes Krishna does it just to relish the love or the mood of separation or the mood of urgency is that. Sometimes Krishna does it just to appreciate the glory of bhakti. Only Krishna can tell you why he is doing what he is doing. So, in case of Dhruv Maharaj, that is an example how people who do not have pure devotional desires become pure devotees by the process of worshipping and chanting Hare Krishna. The case of Kardam Muni is a case of a completely different class. They have no comparison. Dhruv Maharaj went to do tapasya by his whims and fancies. He wanted to have a kingdom greater than his grandfather. But Kardam Muni was not doing that. Kardam Muni was ordered by Lord Brahma. If Kardam Muni wouldn't have been ordered by Lord Brahma, then we have to see what the course of action of Kardam Muni would have been. But Kardam Muni was ordered by Lord Brahma to produce progeny. So therefore, he went to do tapasya. And in that tapasya, he asked for a wife. So he is following the instructions. And his child becomes Lord Krishna himself, Kapila. Krishna only uses his pure devotees as instruments to set examples and teach lessons to the world. The case of Kardam Muni is the case where he is showing to everybody various lessons. If you read the instructions or the life of Kardam Muni, you will see that so many lessons are coming out of it. How his yogic siddhi is so advanced, so much that the demigods are also amazed. So another lesson learnt is that if you just chant Hare Krishna, Krishna gives you everything which you need. Similarly, how he expanded into 9 forms to satisfy his wife and produce daughters, which became the wives of various Prajapatis later on. That is also needed. So only a powerful person like Kardam Muni can plan the future generation of this universe. And finally, how a perfect son like Kapila comes. And although Kapila is at home, he is seeing the Supreme Personality of Godhead all the time. But in order to set up the standard of Varnashram, in order to set up the standard of Sannyas Ashram, by the order of Kapil Dev, he leaves. He leaves the house just to show what is ideal Grihastha means. He leaves the house just to show what it means to lead an ideal Grihastha life. He asks Krishna just to show that whether you are a sincere practitioner or an advanced practitioner, whatever desire you approach Krishna. So these two cases are very different cases. The principle of devotional service is one gets purified. Let's not compare the purification of Kardam Muni and purification of Dhruv Maharaj. They are completely apart. But the principle is that when you practice Krishna consciousness very sincerely and seriously, and if you are praying that please remove this anartha from my heart, Krishna will help you. But apart from that, there is the Leela aspect also. So Kardam Muni's case is a completely different case from, other senior devotees can comment. Kardam Muni was already purified when he started the tapasya. And then he Bhagavatam doesn't say that he became more and more purified as he did the tapasya. The Bhagavatam only says that when he saw the Lord, in fact, the Lord, when he saw Kardama Muni, tears came out of the Lord, and that became Bindu Sarovar. The Lord was so happy to see him. He has been ordered by Brahma, and he's doing a tapasya. He's pleasing the Lord. Brahma also comes and says that your example is the best example in this universe of following instructions. This case is a very different case from Dhruva. This is my understanding.
Is it purport only when Kardama Muni asked for that wife?
To every situation, there are various spiritual angles. I choose to highlight this spiritual angle. But in any pastime also, if you see, in one purport, the acharyas will highlight one angle, in another purport, acharyas will highlight another angle. When Dhruva Maharaj becomes angry, in one purport, Srila Prabhupada says he shouldn't have become so angry. In the next purport, he says this was the duty of Dhruva Maharaj as a king to become angry. So there are unlimited spiritual angles. We have to take guidance and choose that what is my actual spiritual path, which will help me in my Krishna consciousness. People can take up anything from Prabhupada's books and sometimes become a fanatic also. Best example is Bangalore. Some people have become fanatics, Ritviks. Only, again, these are all munis, but Mahajano Yenagata Sapantha. We have to take instructions from our seniors and understand what is best for me. Srila Prabhupada says that my books are like a medicine shop, but you have to follow the prescription. You can't just go and say, I like the yellow medicine, I like that, I like the green medicine, give me that. No. So Srila Prabhupada's books also have to be studied and discussed and meditated upon under guidance. It's not that I pick up some section and I meditate and I don't meditate on another section. So like you have asked, like very rightly you have put this question, this kind of discussion should happen so that we get clarity that Kardama Muni needed something, he advanced. Dhruva Muni also went back to God. Main na reh jaun. What guidance I need, I have to see. Okay? I don't know whether I have answered your question, but 2 points you have to remember. Some spiritual cases, use cases cannot be compared. Another, the principle of devotional service is always same, which leads to purification and Atmaram position. Third, there is a Leela Tattva of the Lord. Fourth, every situation has multiple spiritual angles. Not all of them are relevant to us also. Hare Krishna. Granth Raj, okay. Getting qualities like that of the Lord. The word-to-word translation says, having attained your qualities. This is what I would like to say. Bhavat Subha, not a Sanskrit expert. Bhavat Subhana means one who obtains the qualities like that of Lord Krishna. So I gave the example, like how by meditating on Krishna one can go back to Godhead. So similarly, those who are very much attached to Krishna, if you meditate on them, because they are in Godhead, so you will also end up there only. That's what I understood and I said. Okay. Thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.